Located along the Pacific coastline within the southwestern United States, Los Angeles remains the fifth most costly metropolis across the entire globe.
I'm the biggest fan. I'm LA's biggest fan, #1 fan.
Hollywood actively builds this glittering reputation, yet that dazzling facade conceals harsh truths. Los Angeles County is split in two. Towards the western ocean front, the extraordinarily rich comfortably inhabit affluent enclaves like Santa Monica and Beverly Hills. Conversely, southeast municipalities including Carson feature impoverished populations densely packed inside neighborhoods heavily afflicted by frequent violence. This socioeconomic divide drastically worsened alongside surging living expenses, primarily driven by a 15% annual inflation rate upon basic consumer goods.
Some people are just one paycheck away, and some people are very close to being homeless down here.
Local housing markets appear even worse, rising 25% every year. Typical rents for tiny 15-square-meter apartments command $2,000 monthly. Consequently, numerous employed workers currently inhabit parked camper vans, including an older mechanic who steadily earns exactly $2,000 monthly.
They got a refrigerator here. Right now it's not working, but I'm saving up to buy a new one, you know?
Municipal roadways overflow with residential caravans, inevitably generating significant public safety hazards everywhere.
This morning, this Class A RV was fully involved in fire.
But others just see it as a business opportunity. Greg makes a lot of money from the 25 vehicles which he rents out all over the city.
I don't really think too much of people that say that I'm, taking advantage of people. It's me.
Other Angelinos like Alvina turn to shared housing for people who have a job but can't find a place to live.
And people want to see that you can pay the rent 6 months later, because remember, apartments want a year. If you just moved to LA, maybe you don't have a job lined up yet, so how do you prove that you have income 6 months down the line?
In the city's western districts, the lower classes are growing even poorer. Meanwhile, luxury real estate is fetching record prices. Massive, sprawling mansions regularly command staggering market valuations, consistently exceeding $20 million American dollars in exclusive neighborhoods. As prices soar, Sheldon Wilder, the queen of luxury real estate, can spend as lavishly as she pleases.
It's gorgeous.
All the celebrities are wearing it on the red carpet and in real life.
Welcome to LA, where people live in the same city but worlds apart from one another. The drastic disparity regarding fundamental living standards broadens. So what is life really like in Los Angeles today? Right now in Santa Monica, a newly built $22 million mega mansion just sold in under 24 hours. Less than a 10-minute drive from those manicured gates, an entire family is living out of a rotting 1990s camper van, paying a self-appointed street landlord $500 a month just to park on the asphalt. The brutal math of the 2026 housing market, average rent for a standard apartment sits at $2,510, while a single-family home demands over $4,700 a month. Meanwhile, the entry price for a high-end home is an astronomical $4.4 million. The middle class has evaporated. The people serving the coffee, fixing the cars, and teaching the children can no longer afford to live inside the buildings of the city. They keep running. The sheer cost of survival has forced an entire tier of the working class to abandon traditional trousening altogether. In this economy, you are either buying the block or you are sleeping directly outside of it. If you can no longer afford rent, but you still have to show up to your job, you have to sleep somewhere. Opportunists are buying salvaged, broken-down RVs for dirt cheap and renting them out in a completely unregulated mobile housing market for up to $1,000 a month. Between 2023 and 2025 alone, the state cleared over 16,000 encampment sites. Yet thousands of derelict camper vans continue to multiply, lining the streets of LA to form sprawling mobile neighborhoods. Fully employed professionals now live within these fleets, caught in a dystopian loophole where a single missed paycheck leads directly to the concrete. For these workers, a van is the final safety net. This friction is spilling over into ultra-wealthy enclaves like Playa del Rey. Homeowners paying massive property taxes are suddenly dealing with raw sewage dumped into their streets, sudden RV fires, and increased property theft right outside their front doors. A bitter high-stakes turf war has emerged. Millionaires are now hiring private security forces to patrol their borders, while the working van dwellers feel hunted and criminalized simply for existing. While the wealthy construct higher walls and hire armed guards to manage the RVs, a much darker crisis is brewing downtown. No wall can hold back what is happening in the city's core. Over 72,000 people are officially counted as homeless in Los Angeles County, with tens of thousands of them entirely unsheltered. That is the population of an entire small American city collapsed onto the pavement of Skid Row. Demographics on the street are shifting rapidly. Families, the elderly, and desperate immigrants now occupy these tents. Their American dreams ending on the sidewalk of 5th Street. Xylazine, the zombie drug now dominating the bloodstreams of the street population, presents a threat even more severe than the sheer volume of the crisis. This diagram illustrates the brutal chemistry of the epidemic. Dealers catch cheap fentanyl with this veterinary animal tranquilizer. When injected, it heavily restricts blood flow, causing severe tissue ischemia and necrotic skin ulcers that rot the flesh. Because xylazine is an animal tranquilizer and not an opioid, standard overdose reversal treatments are completely useless. The life-saving drugs simply bounce off the neural receptors. The government is currently overwhelmed by what has become an active, untreatable medical war zone. With state systems buckling, grassroots volunteers are the only ones left to step in. Rogue street medics spend their weekends doing the grueling wound care the hospital system ignores, desperately trying to prevent amputations on the sidewalk. Alongside them, free street barbers offer a vital sense of dignity to the forgotten. The state pours hundreds of millions of dollars into encampment resolution funds, yet that money frequently disappears into bureaucratic red tape. Civilian volunteers provide the only immediate impact. These acts of profound kindness save lives for a day. However, they cannot piece back together a system that has severed entirely in two. In Los Angeles today, you either spend $10,000 in an afternoon on Rodeo Drive, or you fight for a patch of infected sidewalk on Skid Row. Los Angeles represents the blueprint for every major American city by the end of the decade. This economic pipeline, starting with unaffordable housing, pushing into a shadow RV economy, and ending in terminal street displacement, is an active, spreading phenomenon. The focus has shifted away from how to fix Los Angeles, leaving a much more chilling uncertainty. Which American city will be the next to fall? Strip away the Hollywood signage and the tourist traps. The mid-2026 reality of Los Angeles is defined by a brutal new arithmetic. The localized inflation rate is stuck at 3.6%. And for a single person, the cost of simply existing within the city limits has crossed $6,000 a month. When you weigh a standard 40-hour paycheck against that overhead, the numbers stop making sense. Even for professionals with degrees and established careers, the monthly math results in a deficit that no amount of budgeting can solve. This signals the end of the traditional middle-class safety net. Hard work no longer functions as a guarantee against poverty when the basic overhead of a city outpaces the growth of its wages. In a standard economy, when the middle class flees and local wages can't cover rent, the housing market would be expected to correct or even crash. But the high-end market is doing the opposite. Sales for homes priced over $2,000 have increased by 8.4%, creating a market that is thriving while its workforce struggles to survive. This creates a central paradox. A city that is simultaneously starving its workers while fueling a record-breaking boom for luxury cash buyers. To understand why this divergence is happening, we have to look at the specific mechanics of the housing market. Rules that are now beginning to surface in cities across the country. The entry point for a standard home in Los Angeles now averages $860,000. For a modest bungalow like this, the price tag has moved beyond the reach of the average local family. This creates the 66% premium. The monthly mortgage payment on a house is now 66% higher than renting the exact same property. This gap is driven by record-high principal prices and interest rates compounding a 30-year loan. That 66% difference acts as a financial barrier, making it mathematically impossible for a renter to save enough capital to become an owner. Millions of residents are now effectively locked into permanent tenancy, unable to access the primary tool used by previous generations to build household wealth. Before 2020, wage growth and housing prices generally moved together. This allowed teachers, mechanics, and public servants to realistically expect to own a home in the city where they worked. The shift began with global supply chain shocks that drove up the cost of raw materials and construction, providing the first major pressure on housing affordability. This was followed by an era of quantitative easing. By injecting unprecedented capital into the system, the economy experienced a compressed burst of inflation, moving 20 years of price increases into just 5 years. The result is a permanent gap between what a house costs and what a job pays. Post-2020, housing prices spiked while average wages remained relatively flat, creating a deficit in purchasing power. For the average wage earner, the path to home ownership didn't just become more difficult. The math that supported the middle class was replaced by a structural gap they cannot out-earn. While high interest rates and the 66% premium block individual families, corporate investors and cash-heavy buyers operate with a different set of rules. These buyers are using the current environment to absorb residential properties, outbidding families who require financing and moving those homes into corporate-managed rental portfolios. This market structure prioritizes the concentration of residential assets into large portfolios rather than individual ownership. The physical evidence of this shift is visible on the streets. When workers can't bridge the gap between their wages and the $6,000 overhead, they often end up living where they work, just without the house. This has created a pavement economy where nurses and mechanics live in vehicles parked within sight of multi-million-dollar luxury developments. Projecting these trends forward to 2036 reveals a landscape where institutional landlords own the vast majority of residential land, making permanent renting the only option for nearly all residents. This ownership model eventually threatens the service industry. If the people who run the city can't afford to live within a reasonable commute of their jobs, the entire local economy faces a labor collapse. Los Angeles is moving towards a two-tier social structure, defined by a small class of property owners and a large class of temporary tenants. This isn't a problem unique to California. The Los Angeles market serves as a lead indicator for trends that are already appearing in other major hubs across the country. The same mechanics, corporate consolidation, persistent local inflation, and the decoupling of wages are being exported to secondary cities. The survival costs and the 66 ownership premiums seen in Los Angeles are already beginning to scale across the United States. The blueprint for this new housing economy has been finalized in Los Angeles. The only remaining question is how long it will take for this math to reach your front door.